right, folks. Good evening. Post Super Bowl Sunday. I know a lot of you guys are having some fun. It's like Paul's asking the right questions in hockey chat. Listen, I'm going to defer to the hockey expert. He's in
Yeah,
Texas.
let me
He's in
tell you,
Texas.
Bobby Orr, the best, just the best.
You've learned so much. We got to get you caught up. The best part is that the best part about you being from Texas and your incredible knowledge of hockey, in depth as it is
Oh
my
yeah.
favorite guy here. He's shown in the Detroit jersey here, but he spent his entire career in Dallas. I have a Tony Romo 1 of 1. I have one, and it's a Tony Romo Mike Modano dual 1 of 1. So both played in Dallas, so that's why it exists.
Paul asked me Lemieux or I don't Zerman. I like Lemieux. I read books about Lemieux when I was little. That's like the only person I actually knew was Lemieux. So there you go.
There you go. So there you go.
Enough hockey chat for the night, huh?
Graham Shimpayak, yes. Yep, bomb him with hockey. There you go. So let's see here. I'm just going to quickly scan through that. Yep, you're in for some hockey. There you go. Just let's see here. Oh, Twilight is on. That's a tough decision, man.
Twilight's better than us, I think. I don't know.
I think I'd go with Twilight. There you go, Lemieux, Yzerman. Oh, about Tool. That's right. Yeah. Your lack of knowledge in Tool is only surpassed by your lack of knowledge in hockey. It's fantastic.
Dude, I asked my wife because I was asking, like, am I just off on this? You know, me and my wife almost to the day the same age.
All
And
right.
she's like, I think they're a band from the 90s. I'm like, okay, yeah, we don't know who the fuck Tool is. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah. Will's got the right spirit. He gets it. Yeah.
Yeah, Will, that's it.
Yeah, Texas did steal our hockey team. Yeah. Well, what's funny is that so here's a reference you might actually know. Modano was actually in the first Mighty Ducks movie. Like if anybody goes
I
back,
love
he
Mighty
made
Ducks.
a cameo. He made a cameo because they were still in Minnesota. So when they were still the Minnesota North Stars, Modano was very very early in his career, and he made a cameo in that movie because they were based out of Minnesota.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I did enjoy that movie with Charlie Sheen's brother, right?
Yeah, it was Emilio Estevez. Yeah.
Yeah, Emilio Estevez. Yeah.
And it's a serve a 46-2 penalty. Facts. Rob Ray, yep. All right, let me touch on this one real quick here. We're talking a little of the baseball. I think those
That's
guys.
not going to be able to talk football tonight. What the fuck? That's
Hey,
fine.
blame Will. Blame this on your folks.
Yeah, this
What
is
do you want
my
me to do?
fault. This is my fault. I could have hosted. It's my fault. So.
Yeah, then he would have asked you double for labor talks. Go.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the best part. I think the problem is that the owners really are intent on like literally dragging this to the point that they actually lose some games. They're like, see, the players did this, and the players are going to be like literally like, guys, we've been trying to tell you to talk for 2 months. When do you actually want to do it? Because really at this point, if they were serious and they really wanted to do it, I don't really care about the millionaires versus billionaires thing. That I don't care. They both make money, but I'll be honest, the owners don't have a leg to stand on. All they have to do is, if you guys are serious, just sit in a room for the next 2 weeks and hash it out until you come up with something, and then go. Because they still have enough time in about the next 2 weeks to still be able to go without missing any games. So they technically could ratify the thing on time to actually be able to play their spring training normally and be able to actually play games without messing everything up. Still not ideal, but they still have about 2 weeks. But then after that, it runs out.
I didn't realize they only had 2 weeks. I thought they had more time to not miss games just because, I mean, beginning of April, first week of April.
Yeah, but that's when regular season starts. They still need 2 or 3 weeks of spring training. Otherwise, it's literally going to be. It's like what happened basically with the NFL the last 2 years, where you didn't have enough preseason, and like literally the first couple of weeks look like preseason.
Yeah. For sure. Well, I mean, one, who cares? But two, but still with 2 weeks. So then you're talking mid-March. I mean, we're still, well, I guess 2 weeks from now is the beginning of March. I guess it makes sense. Yeah.
The players who are like minor league invites and stuff, the ones who are trying to make the team are the ones who would get screwed out of that because they're not going to have a real chance to make the team. They want that little bit of time. And also it lets the pitchers warm themselves up. Because I promise you a bunch of pitchers would blow out their arms in the first couple of weeks if they ran straight to real games.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Guaranteed. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, what happened to Shohei Ohtani? I had so much invested in him. Funny story,
Is he going to pitch this year?
I wouldn't pitch him if I was those guys. He doesn't pitch enough to make it worthwhile to me. He's a really good pitcher. He's a good hitter. I'm not going to say great power hitter, but he hit like 250. He's not a great
Yeah, 48 bombs, right? Yeah, it's an interesting point. Have him as a long arm out of the pen, like in extreme circumstances.
Yeah.
Like that seems like a huge asset to have for
I
your
would
right
rather
fielder.
use him there. I would rather put him on the field somewhere, let him play a regular position. He obviously he can hit for power. Let him do that. And honestly, if he's going to get injured again, it's going to be on the mound.
Oh no,
He's gonna
100%. Oh no, I agree with you. I'm not saying like he sees 80 innings or anything. I'm just saying like you just have it. It's just like in a pinch. he can give you 3 innings of mop up or whatever the hell's going on. Obviously, you don't want to put him in mop up, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think even for the Otani guys who are like hell bent on like making him the second coming of Babe Ruth, trust me, you guys want him to play the outfield or something. You want him to do that and pitch maybe once in a blue moon if they absolutely need it. That's it. That sounds good, Josh. Thank you for that. Just quickly scale through. Basil McCray, Medano. I think that's right. That could be. I think it's been a long time, but I think that's right. Yeah, the Bengals still won against the spread. Yep,
I was
had them plus
5-2 in the last 2 rounds in the Super Bowl, so
right.
I'm happy. I mean, like I don't know what to tell you. Yep, I picked wrong on the Rams Bengals, but I also said like the Bengals are a hard one. You know, I wouldn't bet the Bengals games because the Bengals are hard to bet because they're so explosive. You just never know. So
Yeah, I will say this because we were having the debate on your Discord a little bit. They were talking about the Matthew Stafford thing. I think good for Stafford on winning a Super Bowl. Good for him on that. I didn't catch who won the MVP. I don't know who. Did you see who actually won the MVP for the Super Bowl?
yeah, it's Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup won.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think so.
I've never had an issue with Stafford. I thought he was good. I'm not going to argue whether he's top 10 or not. I think probably yeah, but it's one of those things where it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt him that he won the Super Bowl. That's good, and he's far from the worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl. We've still got some really bad examples from the past. But I would say like the Rams with everything they had should have technically won easily. And it's like that was a struggle that it shouldn't have been for you guys. And credit to the Bengals for hanging in there.
I mean, yeah, but the Bengals beat the. I mean, let's not act like that's the only team they beat, right? They beat the Chiefs too. You know, I mean, like the Bengals defense showed up to be real.
The Chiefs are flawed. The Chiefs are flawed, and they don't have the defense that the Rams have. Because
for sure. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
No,
Aaron Donald and Von Miller should have sacked him 39 times. Forget about 9 times.
We can't. I mean, let's be real though. I mean, the Rams, Stafford's second interception was because it was like their third tight end because of injuries. I mean,
yeah.
Or the 5th wide receiver, whichever one tipped it. I forget.
Yep. Sounds good here. Otani signed there because they agreed to let him pitch. Not sure it's the Angels' decision. It's always the Angels' decision. If he can ask to get traded, but like no other team would actually want him to pitch more than a little bit. Yeah, Bengals covered. That's right. Yep, Cooper Cup. Thank you for that. Good evening, Ken. Yep, Bengals +4. Yeah, I had that one and the under. The under actually turned out pretty good. The under where I got it was 46. So it worked out almost bang on perfect.
Dang.
Very good. Very good. I wasn't too worried because once they got into more of a defensive slog, and they kind of like, yeah, okay. I don't think we're going to see a huge explosion from either team. Would have been a schism if Donald would have won the MVP. There you go. Brad Johnson, yeah. I would say Trent Dilfer would probably be the worst one that I think of. I think Trent Dilfer was more of like, I'm going to hand the ball off here. That's my job. That's what
both of those guys. And then on the opposite side, you had Kerry Collins, too, opposite of Trent Dilfer, in that Super Bowl. And it's just like, my goodness, that might be the 2 worst quarterbacks ever in a Super Bowl.
Yeah. But I think it's kind of the point that I made a little bit towards the end of to FD's thing before I popped off was that you can get away if your team's good. And this is the thing that's going to hurt Jimmy G long term unless he finally figures it out with somebody, whether it's 49ers again or whether it's somebody else. That team is already pretty good. Like they already have been to a Super Bowl and they were in good position in that Super Bowl game. So like the opportunity is there if you can just get the quarterback just needs to do enough. That's all you need them to do. Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl. Like and he played well in the playoff run leading up to that. So you just need the guy to have the right combination of things, have a good moment and finish the deal. Because you go back in time earlier, Washington, Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, which points to like, well, clearly they built a team that allowed them to get back 3 separate times with 3 separate quarterbacks who were different. They weren't all the same, and they were still able to make it work because the team was well built. It was solid, and they were able to get it done. So it is possible. You can build a good team, and if the quarterback does his job, you can win a Super Bowl that way.
Yeah, I think for the last decade, we in football world were really on the you need to find the right quarterback, and then you build your roster around him. But now I think the methodology's changed a little bit. I think teams need to focus on building a good roster and making them attractive locations for quarterbacks to come, and find these guys who are B or better quarterbacks. I mean, some of them even Hall of Fame, A+ level guys, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and they still have some tread left on the tires, and they're just looking for a home to go because they're tired of the place they're at. So to me, if I was a GM, I'd be looking at, if I'm doing a rebuild or if I'm really in a bad place, I'd be looking at really building out my roster and then finding a quarterback that fits the bill.
Yeah, I think there are elite quarterbacks that obviously you build around, but a lot of guys fall into that second category where
Right. Yeah.
there's ones where look, we can win with you if we have the right combination of things around you. It's like I always joke about it's like an old saying that was done from a professional wrestling guy when he was talking about because they're performers, they're just acting, they're doing their thing, but here's the thing: accentuate their positives and put aside their weaknesses. Don't force them to do the thing they're not good at. That was the point that they were trying to get at. Well, it's the same thing here. If the guy can't do everything, well then great. Don't ask him to do the thing he's bad at. If he
Yep.
can't run, don't ask him to run. If he
Yeah.
can't throw the
100%.
long ball, don't ask him to do that.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science in that way. So Ken here says I found a new LCS yesterday. Okay, cool. Dug through the Valley boxes. Got a Sean Robinson optic rookie auto 99 for less than $1. Listed for 3 minutes and sold in about 20 minutes. There you go. Nice. Yep, the Patriots have proved that. Yeah. That's why I use the analogy of early Brady versus later Brady. Later Brady, again, as much as I like to make fun of him, and I do, later Brady was very different in terms of what he did to help them win versus early Brady. Both of them had some success. Like it is
Hmm.
possible to do that. Both were successful, but they're two different things. So
Yep.
let's see here. Yeah, but when hasn't the superstar? Otani's not a superstar. Not in the Angels. Trout can call his shot. Otani's had one MVP season. One. Vancouver Grizzlies only lasted for about 5 years before moving to Memphis. I think that's about right. Let's see. Maynard stood his back to his audience. Not sure. Maybe this is Tool is what he's talking about.
I'm not sure what that comment's about.
Sometimes I'll get one where I'm like, if you could clarify which one you're talking about here, you let me know. Stafford just had to lead the Sig Fest roster this line. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think. I think Stafford's better than people give him credit for. He was just on, I mean, in Detroit. So
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, EC Dub. That's right, Paul. Think a Japanese will won't take agreement seriously. I'm not worried about that. I don't care. Look, okay, fine. Look. The Angels didn't win with him. What difference do you think it's going to make? Him and Trout together, maybe they win something, but I doubt it. The Angels kind of have that issue. So good evening, Ziggy. Let's see here. There you go.
11 year log of Volin. That's right, Will. Thank you.
There you go. I was actually surprised. I thought Neo was supposed to be on the other one too. I didn't see him.
Maybe he was supposed to be on the first 30 minutes or the last 30 minutes. I don't know.
Well, I think there was a bunch of folks in the first 30 minutes that I didn't see any of them come on. I think I saw Dustin, and then that's about it. I think everybody.
Well,
I guess
yeah, it just the timing didn't work out because the bowl was still going. So I think people were watching the game, and it was a great game too. It's not like it was like a dud, you know.
All right, there you go. It was Tool. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate you clarifying that. There was another one, another comment here that I think was very accurate. It was talking about here we go. Eulogy to all the unpaid Burrow auctions that won't get paid tonight. That's why that Compsy for this one for the win. I've given Compsy flack, deservedly so, for quite a while that they were struggling. But if you're looking for a flip in a situation like this, they're perfect because there's no takebacks. Sorry, didn't win.
Takebacks.
Sucks to be you. There's no takebacks. You're keeping it. You already paid. It's done. You figure it out. Yep, there you go. Bombarded with references. Fair enough.
You know, a lot of times when I don't know what something is, I'll go research it. But I am so not interested in Tool, I'm not going to research it. I just don't care. Just knock yourself out,
but
Paul.
now you kind of have to lean into not doing it out of spite.
Yeah, that's 100% right. Honestly, like I can't believe everyone knows who Tool is. I'm like, I mean, guys, a lot of times, like I'm like, I know this band or whatever exists, but I may not be familiar with them, and I would own that. This one, legit, just never heard of. Like, just I don't know who Tool is.
Yeah, I know that I've got them on my playlist a fair bit, but it's one of those things where I'm a rock guy and I end up with a lot of it on there. I don't think about it day to day, but I've definitely heard a fair number of Tool songs. I just don't think about it too much unless I happen to catch it on the Spotify playlist. It's right there, but I definitely had to play.
Do they have any songs that belong in my playlist when I'm lifting?
I would think there'd be a couple of good ones. Okay, so guys, since you're bringing in the references, why don't you go with something here? Go with a couple of recommendations. Go with a couple of recommendations would probably be a good call.
Josh asked me if I heard of Nickelback. Of course I heard of Nickelback, arguably the greatest band of all time. So
The amount of hate they get amuses me to no end. It's wonderful.
I really don't get it, man. I mean,
I actually believe. Funny enough, I had this discussion the other night after I finished the live stream. We were actually chatting about that for a couple of minutes, and it's been hilarious. The problem they had was that the one song, "How You Remind Me," got played too much. But then I said it got played too much because people kept requesting it.
Yeah.
So like Nickelback sitting there, so you're mad at us because you kept requesting the song, and then they played it, and then you're mad at us. Why is this our fault? And we sold millions of albums doing this. So
I mean,
what do you want us to do about it?
everyone talking about the halftime show was so great. Eminem sang a song from fucking 20 years ago. I'm pretty sure Snoop and Dre sang songs from 30 years ago. I'm like, what are we doing, guys? I mean, like,
But the thing
like,
is,
you
it
know,
was going to
people-
be a nostalgia show. Like,
Yeah.
why? Mary J. I remember when all those songs came out. I remember Mary J. Blige's songs and all that. I was actually genuinely curious what they would do with it when they threw so many people in. I was genuinely like, okay, so how are you going to manage this? There's a lot of people that you're trying to get through in this medley. Usually, if you get like 2 or 3 people and you do like a medley, you had like 8.
Yeah, apparently this is a hot take. I don't think it was like a great Super Bowl performance. It's not, to me. It's not like a top 5 or whatever. I love the stage and the way they worked through it. I thought was phenomenal. I do think they did a great job. To your point of presentation, I thought presentation was A+. They did a great job.
I thought to me maybe, and again, I mentioned that on the Discord when we were briefly talking about it. I skip most of the halftime shows. I don't care. Truthfully, like I don't. I was genuinely curious how they would do this, so it actually made me, if nothing else, it made me pay attention to it for the first time in about 15 years. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm curious what you're gonna do. Okay, show me. And I thought it was all right, but my expectations were set accordingly.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny though when they were mentioning like how 50 Cent was over. It's like he's 46, man. What do you want? He doesn't
That was
perform
me,
all the
man.
time
Oh,
anymore. He
what
doesn't
the
perform all the time anymore. He doesn't care.
When I saw 50 Cent, I was like,
He
what is
wasn't- he
Lavelle
wasn't
Crawford
even-
doing on
He
stage?
wasn't
What
even
is
promoted.
happening, man?
He wasn't even promoted. They probably at the last minute go, "Hey, Fitty, you want to do a thing? Yeah, sure, why not?"
Yeah, sure. I'm in town. Yeah, let's go.
I guarantee that's what happened. It wasn't part of the plan. They just threw it in. They're like, "Yeah, throw it in, sure." There you go. Okay, here you go. So Tool Eulogy. So Will's recommending Eulogy as a
Eulogy.
song.
I'll go check it out, Will. I'll check it out tonight.
There you
I'll
go.
get ready for tomorrow.
So Super Bowl halftime, past 30 years, been nostalgia shows. Yeah. At this point, it's safe for them to do nostalgia shows. Didn't they have The Weeknd, though, a couple of years ago?
Oh, the weekend was weird as hell. That's the one he's walking through like a maze of mirrors and
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
and like looking
yeah.
around. That one was so weird, man.
But that's what happens when you do a nostalgia show. You get a current artist who has a song. By the way, I was looking up an article because once the guy started mentioning, I was like, I'm just curious. From what I understand, they don't get paid for the show.
No, they
do the
pay to
show.
be on. They pay to be on.
Yeah, but what they found, and this is what the article was looking at, they actually did some research and found out what happened to their streams after doing the Super Bowl halftime show, and for a lot of them, it went up 200 or 300%. So
Yeah.
they would actually make their money on the back end as far as like getting attention on them at that moment. People like checked out Spotify and started streaming their stuff
I mean,
right
they
away.
they all halftime performers, in my understanding, is they all pay to be on. I mean,
Yeah.
I know for a fact. I read an article about Mary J. Blige. She paid to be on. I didn't think it was news because they pay to go on. You know,
Yeah.
like.
But it's
such
still
a big
beneficial to them
stage.
to get the attention, to get
Exactly,
the
yeah.
exposure, because all of a sudden probably some folks went back. Oh yeah, I remember 50 Cents, and they put In the Club on
Yeah.
for the first time in probably 20 years. Okay, so here we go. Even Sober is a classic. Yeah, there you go.
So Sober and Eulogy. That's what I'll go check out.
Apparently that's what we got here. So halftime show was an interesting spectacle. We wasn't a huge fan of the stuff when it was released. That's fair. More than the Tool. Well played, Wes. Well played. Metallica Super Bowl halftime 2023. Yeah, he's probably about right. 50 Cent turned to $1.50.
That's exactly what happened.
$1.50. Come on, we got to do it right. $1.50. Got to get it right. Yeah, the weekend was last year. I thought so.
Was that only last year? My God, that felt like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep, time passes. Don't care for her music, but Katy Perry's performance in the show was interesting seen in years. Yeah, I remember she did have one. Not.
That's
some
another
years
one.
back.
Like, it's weird, but I do think hers was one of the better ones, just because like it was entertaining to watch. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it is what it is.
I think people forget that the halftime show is not supposed to be like quality music.
Right.
That's why.
yeah.
That's why I thought it was like, guys, this is a showcase. Why do you think they do the medley thing? They're not going to play a full song for you. They're going to play like a piece of a song, a piece of a song, a piece of a song. It's literally meant to be a showcase for like 15 or 20 minutes. Kill some time, and then you go back to watching the commercials. Who Neil Pearl is.
Tom is correct. I have no idea who Neil is. Neil Peart.
There you go. Yep, Rush. Yep, probably not. Yep. No, that's fair. Now, I did appreciate though that the game was at least close. That's one of those things, and it was funny when you kind of pinged me and I thought about it. I actually did a Super Bowl post game show last year. It was another impromptu thing. I wasn't going to do it, but then I thought about it and I was like, I was kind of frustrated with watching the narrative on the show and everything. I was like, screw it. So I grabbed a couple of my buddies and I had them come on and we chatted about it. But it was basically a backhanded Tom Brady compliment fest. Basically, like, how can I congratulate you while not really congratulating you? It was wonderful. I enjoyed it
Yeah, I don't know what your issue is with the Brady, man. I don't know.
because it pisses people off to go to. It pisses people off. People literally lose their minds. It's wonderful. It's the reason why you ironically should ignore Tool. Like
Who?
the more they complain about it, the more it's like, I wasn't even going to mention the guy, but since you brought it up, and then you play into it. All the Sancho stuff aside, the game was fantastic. It was a good game. It was a.
It was.
I won't go fantastic.
Sorry,
It was
sorry.
good. Go ahead.
I thought the broadcast was strange. Like,
Okay.
it felt like. I mean, look, I know commercials are a big deal for the Super Bowl, but like this year, it just felt like they did not show replays. They cut color short. They just went straight into commercials. It's like they sold too many commercials and they had to get those suckers in. Man, I did not enjoy that, to be honest. That kind of sucked. I don't know.
All right. I will be honest. This is in the same vein. It's probably I probably for the first quarter and change. I've watched a lot of the last couple of Super Bowls without commentary on. I really like. It's like I don't care what you guys are saying. I'm gonna watch this game. I'll watch what's going on, and I'll keep an eye on it that way. But then I did turn it on eventually once they got a little bit more into the game. Yeah, I agree with Wes. It did feel like it moved pretty quickly. Mind you, for the first chunk of the game, they barely had any penalties, which is good. Like honestly, they let the game play. I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything egregious. I think they just didn't call a lot of the ticky tack stuff they usually call. I thought that was fine. I didn't have an issue with it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say good day. Absolutely. Aaron Donald took that game over when the
Yeah.
Cup did.
To this
Yeah,
one.
but-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Take a shot at that one.
Well, I would disagree, Beef, because like I think before that last drive, if the Rams were to win in whatever Cam Akers scores a touchdown, then Aaron Donald's the MVP. But Kupp catches, I think, 4 balls on that drive, catches the game-winning touchdown. I mean, they literally could not move the ball without Kupp on that drive. I think the last drive solidified it for
Yeah.
Kupp.
I was going to say the last drive is the reason why you gave it to Cup, because Matthew Stafford needed some. OBJ was gone, and he was actually playing all right in the brief little bit there. He had some catches. He was going. He looked like he was tracking to have a pretty decent little game there, and then obviously he hurt his leg and he's out. But then you bring Cooper Kupp on, and then all of a sudden Cooper Kupp, because everybody knew you were going to throw it to Cooper Kupp, especially in that last drive. It's like, so where are we going? To Cooper Kupp? We know where you're going. So fair enough. Let me go here. Commercials were terrible. I didn't catch too many of the commercials. Sometimes we get them and sometimes we don't. It's always been very weird. In the Canadian broadcasters, they, I think it's called simultaneous substitution, because I used to work at the satellite company. Because we would get calls to complain that they weren't getting the American commercials. So they would only get like a handful of them, but not like all of them. And it's called simultaneous substitution. Some of the network and cable and satellite do that. So they'll throw Canadian commercials in that are basically the same generic Canadian commercials we always get.
Oh, man.
I was like, great. There you go. Commercials were all bad except the NFL commercial with the mini players came out of the screen. Okay. I have to check that one out. Like I said, I didn't catch too many of them. Tom is very obsessed about the Nipplegate one. Very obsessed. But that's the reason they changed a lot of the halftime shows after that. They were like, you're going to have to run this by us. What are you going to do? Yep. Somehow you get an offensive face mask and whiff on it. I stand by that was a veteran heel move. I thought that was a great, yeek. Jalen Ramsey, go flying. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I don't care, man. It made for a better game. Like, here's the thing. In the end, by the way, the Rams won. So what's the issue? Who cares? It was fine for me. Michigan fans rooted the Rams and Ohio fans rooted for Simpson. Yep. I didn't realize how thin the Rams were at receiver. Yeah. It fell apart.
Well, I mean, they had already lost Robert Woods. Robert Woods was out. Their starting tight end Tyler Higbee was out, and then once Odell gets hurt and they're in the game, it's like, I mean, they're down to their scraps.
Yeah. Either way, I was just happy to have like 2 relatively new teams in it. Like for me, it's like there's almost no scenario where I wouldn't have been happy with the result. I was fine with Stafford winning. I was fine with the Rams winning for the most part. The Joe Burrow and the Cincy would have been cool ahead of schedule, because that team probably shouldn't have been there. Like, it was a great run to get to that point. It would have been amazing if they had been able to pull it off, because technically that team has plenty of room to get better. Like, there's things they need. They're not quite ready for primetime, and yet they got an opportunity, an experience. You can't take away, and they were close. They were leading late. They had a chance, every opportunity to win that
Here's
game.
my hot take opinion on that.
He's got a hot take. Go ahead.
I don't think they come back for another at least 4 years.
Unless they fix that line, I don't see how they could. But they've got a fun to watch offense, and if they manage to get Joe Burrow not to die, that would probably be good. It might make them give them a better chance. The AFC is stacked though. Like they've got a lot of good teams now, a lot of young quarterbacks, and it's like it's a bit of a murderer's row over there. It's like, who are you going to pick out of the AFC next year? Like,
no, it really is. I mean, it's really, I've talked about it a couple times now. You're not going to have a Brady out of this next generation because the four best young quarterbacks are all in the AFC, which means they're all going to, be holding each other back from being the great one. So you're going to have four great, but I think that might be more fun to us.
I think that's better.
Every year, there's a lot more, tension and a lot more like on the line,
Yeah. This isn't a hot take, and this isn't me just randomly Brady hating for the sake of Brady hating. I'll let you know when that is. I'll let you know.
Oh no, I agree with this. I start watching football in '99. Basically, Brady starts in 2000. Basically all I know is Tom Brady. Like I'm happy to move on.
But you know what? I'll throw in one more piece into this. I'm happy for that, but I'm also happy. Dynasties sometimes can be good. The Patriots dynasty was actually really boring. Mm-hmm. Yes, they were villains and everything, but it's not like and this was always, again, a backhanded compliment thing. When I did it last year, I had my part of my fan. Oh, congratulations to Brady actually winning a game didn't require a last-minute field goal or a one-score game. It's like, no, you won definitively. Like, it's very clear you won.
Yeah.
There's no questions, no doubts, no like one play went your way. Like, no, you won. So I thought that was good, but that dynasty was boring. No, all I'm going to say is that dynasty was actually really boring because I'm like, yes, methodically, slowly get down the field, kick the damn field goal, please move on.
I think it's a really interesting point though that you make. I would imagine that the '90s Cowboys were more fun to watch than
way more fun, infinitely more fun.
And then just for a team that I've watched, the Warriors, that dynasty. I hated them with KD, but that was still a lot of fun to watch because it's offense, it's high variance. Like that's fun to watch.
No, but that's we like villains. Dynasties are fine. We like villains. But you go back to the NBA guys when they're talking about, the Lakers and the Celtics. That was a lot of fun for folks. The Bulls in the 90s, Jordan was at the top of his game and they're doing all this stuff. That's at least they're winning in ways that are fun to watch and they're in dogfights and like you can see Jordan doing Jordan things to get them where they need to go. It never felt like that was kind of dull. That was kind of boring. But it was always like the bum of the month club. The one thing that I always thought was funny with the Jordan thing is that you never had a team there, even the young teams that Jordan beat on his way to winning 6 rings. You had the Portland Trailblazers, who were real good, and they had a lot of good players on there, but they basically were one and done. The Phoenix Suns was one time they were there. Nobody really repeated, other than the Utah Jazz, who by that point it's like, yeah, Stockton and Malone are Jordan's contemporaries. They're actually older than he is. They were in the league even around the same time he started. It's like, these are not young bucks coming up with this young team. It's like, they're good.
I heard they played the Sonics one year, yeah?
They did 1 year, yeah.
And I've heard someone say this, and I would be interested to hear your take as someone who, I assume watched it and lived through it a little bit.
Please consider.
Just, no, I was alive then. I just wasn't watching basketball.
Yeah. I watched a little bit. I won't claim to have watched all of it, but I did watch some of that, yeah.
But I've heard the argument that, like, Jordan didn't really face a good one-on-one defender in his finals years, other than the year that he played the Sonics with Gary Payton. He's, Gary Payton gave him the most trouble, which makes sense. The glove,
Yeah.
But outside of that, he wasn't facing good, defenders to lock him down.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think you can make I won't, like I said, I'll claim my ignorance where I have it. I won't claim to be a basketball expert in any way, shape, or form. But I do think that what happened is that he faced really good teams. I think some of his most challenging series were in the East. And I think a lot of folks from that era agreed that once you got past the East, it's not that the other teams weren't good. They were good, and they had great players on them. And Will here is making the points. I'm not saying the Trailblazers weren't good. My point is that by the time that Jordan and the Bulls got there, they were at the tail end of what he just said here. Mm-hmm. So they only got to face each other once. I would love to have seen them rematch. The Lakers team that he beat, the first championship was against the LA Lakers, right? Magic Johnson. But it's not Magic Johnson and Kareem. It's not Magic Johnson and James Worthy in his prime. They're they're at the end. This is the last run of this group. Magic Johnson is about to leave because he's going to get the HIV diagnosis soon, and then he's going to retire. So like this is the end. The Lakers are done until a young Kobe comes up. They get Shaq. This is now
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the end of the decade. So at the beginning of the decade, the Lakers were in fumes. They had already had a great run, but this was the end. So it wasn't the same Lakers. You didn't face, but they still were formidable. They were multi-time champions. They were great, but it wasn't quite the same. You didn't get them at their best. You didn't get the Blazers, Trailblazers at their best. You got a lot of teams. The Sonics were a great team, but they were young. But they also never got back. That Phoenix team, Barkley was an MVP, really good, but they were one and done. I would love to have seen a team come back a second time, having had the experience the first time, and see if you can do better the second time. But they never had that. It was like three different opponents and then two Utah at the end.
Yeah, it's so interesting then, as someone who likes sports, probably my favorite position is GM.
Okay.
And what they did was Krause, whatever, for Chicago there. What he just did such a great job, and it's like so important. People give LeBron a lot of crap for leaving Cleveland, and I'm just like, I don't see how anyone can objectively look at that and be like, LeBron should have stayed. I mean, what you're going to keep sitting there playing with Eric Snow? I mean, what are we doing here? Come on.
Yeah. So there you go. Will's going for the hot takes. Sean Kemp in '96. There you go. Like I have no issue. And here's the thing. I have no qualms with Jordan. It's not like the Brady thing where I'm gonna have fun with it. No, I'm not taking away from what he did. The one thing I will fight against, though, the one hill I will die on about this is the Skip Baylessy world where he's like, well, if he had played the 2 years in between, he would have won 8 in a row. Absolutely not. He wouldn't have even won 5 because he was dead tired at the end of the 3. He needed a break. He needed to go away, get recharged, and then come back.
I'm a Houston fan, man, and people always come in my
357, chat. 357 got it almost as I was about to say it.
There you go.
No.
I'm a Houston fan, and people tell me that shit all the time, probably to rob me up and stuff. Like, oh, Houston wouldn't have won. I'm like, guys, didn't you watch the documentary? Jordan was gassed. He needed the break. He needed that. I mean, there's no way. He may not have won 4 straight if he plays the next year.
The break fueled the other 3. I think he was able to do the second three-peat because he was able to go away for a little while and get a breather. That's the only way, because he would never have been the 8 in a row. He would have dropped dead on the court, zero chance, because injuries could have happened. Like a million things could have happened. The break was the best thing that could have possibly happened for the guy, and he came back motivated, and they were able to build it. Because by the way, the second three-peat, they came off, and then when they started the second three-peat, that was a 72 win season.
Yeah,
they came out hot that full season, and like they were amazing. I do think I'll agree with Patrick here. I think, we don't want to give too much credit to Houston, but we'll give them this. I think it would have been much more interesting and much more compelling matchup to have seen that Houston team against that Bulls team.
Yeah,
I think they would have given them fits. I think it would have, but this would have given me what I asked for, as opposed to these other teams that were all individually really good, MVPs and great players, Hall of Famers and all this, but none of them could come back a second time. That's why I said the only time they had a repeat matchup was Utah, but Utah was at the end of the line. Like, Stockton and Malone are great. But you weren't getting 26-year-old Stockton Malone. You were getting like 35, 36, 37-year-old Stockton Malone. It's not the same.
Also, because I hate this too, Jordan didn't take 2 years off. He took 1 3/4 years off. He played in the playoffs that second year, and they didn't make it to the finals. Everyone just likes to act like that shit didn't happen. Doesn't count. Doesn't count.
Okay. There you go. And Paul's just showing love.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, shut up, Paul.
Yeah, Paul's the Rocket teams were good. Yep.
Hey, the Houston Dynamo have won a shit ton of championships, so suck it, Paul.
Amazing. There's a callback there. Yeah, Jordan played against a really good Jazz team. The idea, yeah, I understand. My only point about the Jazz team is that they were not at their prime. Like I would love to have seen them if that Stockton Malone had been able to go there closer to their prime. I think that would have been more compelling. I think that would have been really interesting. I would have loved to have seen it. Hakeem was unstoppable. Dude never had a team put together and still won 2 rings. Yeah, it just worked out timing wise. Sometimes this would be my take generally. Always, you play who is put in front of you. You don't have too much control over it. Of course, we want like the best team to play the best team every year. We want that. And we want them both to be healthy, and we want no excuses. We want to see the best on best, and let's see who wins. But that doesn't happen all the time. In fact, that rarely happens. Almost always somebody's compromised. Somebody had an injury or something happened, or like, yeah, it sucks. I would love to have seen it. Absolutely a pleasure meeting you as well, to the moon. Absolutely. I do remember Mark Price. I remember that I played, I think it was NBA Jam. I was able to play as Mark Price, and he was great for 3-pointers. Amazing. Sensational. Diet Coke and bourbon. So that's a question for you. I got beer.
Yeah, I didn't want to drink a beer, so I'm trying to get all, man. I'll be real with you. I finally got my diet under control. Finally started lifting and getting everything just back in order. It's just been a hard last 8 months. We moved from Austin to Houston, and we had the baby, and yada yada yada. Who gives a fuck? But
There you go.
I finally got it all under control, and I'm just like, I had some water too, but I drank all the water already, so I got Diet Coke on the side.
Look at you. Look at you. Now, I only got a chance to see the first part of it. How'd the birthday stream go?
The birthday stream went great. Yeah, we only went 6 hours, I suppose. I really didn't plan on going that long. I got drunker than I intended to, which happens. Who knew, And this is where the scotch is from. I'm going to go pick up a bottle of brandy tomorrow, too. I've been itching, just with the colder weather here. It doesn't get cold here, really. So, we're in the 40s. It's a little bit nice. I'm like, man, I could go for a good brandy at night. That'd be all right.
There you go. The cold. Yes, to your point.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all relative, obviously. It's cool. I don't know.
That's fair. I like to see today's players play a game with 90s rules. Yeah. No, I think that'd be fun just to see. A lot of them would complain a lot. That's kind of a thing. But it's one of those things where you're a product of the type of game you grew up playing. Because by the time some of these players came up, it's like we weren't playing 90s rules by that time. So they weren't playing under it. If they had to play under the 90s rules, they would have had to adapt. So we'd see some of them play differently. Again, yep. So don't drink like 10 of them. That'd be my suggestion. Dakota, why'd you move to Houston?
Me and my wife are both from Houston, and we moved to Austin for work. And then with COVID, we both get to work remote. And then we're having a baby, and then real estate was booming in Austin. So we took advantage of some moves that we had made over there, realized our gains, and then moved over here to, put that into some equity and also be close to our family so they can help us watch the baby. Because every day we take the little girl to my wife's parents' house, and I pick her up in the afternoon. So
nice. I'm just scanning here on the Discord. Oh, it looks like Neo's alive. What the heck?
Oh yeah, haven't heard from him. So
yeah, well, as of like 119, he was posting in the Discord a little bit. I'm curious. I'd like to actually see. I don't know if he's around or not, but I'd like to see. I'd like to see if we could get Neo to come by. Be kind of fun.
Who?
Neo.
Oh, Neo.
Yeah, because
I can ping him if you want.
Yeah, give it a go. I'd like to see if he's around because, like I said, I don't know if he ever made it onto. I'm not sure if he made it onto FDs or not, but why not? Get him to see if it take. Yeah. No, I agree with you, Bob. Yeah, Jordan did get hacked quite a bit. Yep, hack a Shack. Yep. No, I agree, 100%. I'm with you. But like I said, a lot of Jordan in the time that Jordan was playing, and it was more normal. So you better learn. And Jordan acknowledged it by adapting. He adapted because at a certain point he had to start building a little bit more muscle to be able to take the pounding. So that's kind of like he understood is like, so you either adapt, you change your game. That's what I say. I give Jordan credit because he's got the big ego, but he's also understands that he really wanted to win, like really badly. So when a guy wants to win that badly, he'll do whatever psychotic thing he needs to do to try to win. So we give him credit for that, and I think it's deserved. Yep, man, having happy family to help with newborn is valuable. Totally agree, Wes.
Neo says he's got work in like 4 hours. He needs sleep. I called him a baby. That didn't seem to help. So
work, outrageous. What is that? What is that? Yep, family in Dallas and Lubbock. Okay, there you go. 357 is always good with random things. Anybody remember Aaron Kraft? There you go.
Nope.
Like Jordan, Dak's favorite player needs to put on some muscle. Ja. Good old Ja.
That's right. If Ja put on some muscle, I'd be more on the like he might make it thing. I mean, the thing is like he plays more like Dwayne Wade, and Dwayne Wade broke down, and Dwayne Wade was thick, and Ja is skinny, and I'm just like, you gotta develop that shot, guy. You're gonna break if you don't.
There you go. 357 makes a good question. It's like that's like really early. What the hell does this man do?
He's not a nurse. He works in healthcare somehow or another, but he's not a nurse.
Okay. It's kind of interesting that he would need to be up that early. I'm like, what the hell are you doing over there?
I know.
Ohio is not in a different, it's not like Japan. You're not in a completely different time zone.
No, I've been talking to him. I know he's got a lot going on with work right now. It just happens to be a busy time right now.
No, that's fair enough. It's fine. Down the road we will. I think it's going to be funny is this Super Bowl was fun for the reasons that we outlined, but the other reason it's fun is that it will have no bearing on next year. Like we very easily could not get either one of these two teams back next year. There's no reason that I think the Rams will be good, but at the same time, who knows? There's a lot of time between now, the off season, and next year. Some teams in the NFC could reload. It could change it up. The AFC is going to be wide open with all those quarterbacks we talked about. So all of a sudden, it's like you could get a completely different matchup next year in the Super Bowl.
I feel like I'm not as certain the Rams will win the next Super Bowl as I would be like after a Patriots win a Super Bowl, kind of deal.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Rams are. I feel like they're going to be heavy favorites to win the NFC. The NFC is just much weaker than the AFC, and and my goodness, if Russell Wilson and Rodgers leave and go to the AFC, I mean, it's the Rams who's going to beat the Rams at that point?
I'd be curious if the motivation will be there as much as because it's hard to win, but it's really hard to come back because now you got to reset, reload. You're going to get to enjoy this. You're going to get to celebrate and do all that. And for like a guy like Matthew Stafford, after all those years, it's like, hey, you finally got a chance with a good team. You won. Congratulations. Are you going to be as motivated to go through the whole process? Because they did have a couple of good breaks in there. They tried their best to let Tampa Bay back in. They did everything they could. They're like, could we just let you win the game? And he's like,
but
no,
I mean,
no.
He says, Tampa's one hell of a roster, and that was Tom Brady. I mean,
Yeah. If either of you guys were offered $75K in benefits to work in the hobby full time, $75K is not enough. That's just my opinion. $75K
full time, 40 plus hours a week, $75K. No, I would turn that down.
Yeah. Because that's not far enough away from what I earn now. And it's debatable how many hours a week I work. It would be a bad deal. I'm taking a pay cut? Pass. I would enjoy doing a hobby related job under the right circumstances, but no, it would have to be more than what I make doing in my day job.
It's an interesting question, and I think it's a good number. I think
it is. Yeah.
Where would that number have to be for me? Like, what it would depend. Like, is the hobby the full time my YouTube channel? Then like at 120 grand, I would probably leave. But if it's like putting cards away for ComC, then it's going to be up to like 250 grand. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't know what it's going to have to be.
I'm in the boat of the more menial and boring the job is, the more money I would actually ask to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If I had to put cards away on ComC, like,
if it's something engaging, something like, let's think about it this way. We know that with Fanatics doing all their stuff, Josh Luber's doing his thing, but they're going to have to build an entire infrastructure of people that are going to be working on different things to make that whole machine work. And I'm not just talking about the people making the cards and stuff. I'm talking about people making the decisions in there, working on some of that. I'm not talking about even set designing. I'm just talking about in general, that machine is going to need a lot of pieces to operate. It's a corporation. It's a business. There's folks at the top of it. There could be managers and things all the way through.
They know where to find me.
There you go.
They know what my number is.
I'm sure they do. Yep. So given the Rams free agent list being a salary cap hell and no draft picks, they could be in trouble next year. Yeah. There's a lot of teams that are kind of in that boat. I don't think Stafford's old enough. I think he'll play. I think he's still got plenty of motivation.
He's like 32 or 33. He's got another 10 years of juice in him.
Yeah, Stafford's 34. I think he'll play more.
There you go, 34.
Plus, he's also high enough in the all-time of like passing yards and stuff where like there could be some motivation to sit there. He could get all the way. He could get up that list a little bit and have himself a good finish to his career. Now he's got the ring, so that would just be icing on the cake. Now, is Aaron Donald really considering retiring? I don't know about that one. I thought I heard the guy who's like 40 years old on the Rams was going to retire.
Whitworth, 100% Whitworth, the left tackle is going to retire. Aaron Donald, but like we found out before the game, they said that if they win, Donald is going to consider retiring.
Okay.
And we just this week, we also heard McVay, the head coach, doesn't want to be doing coaching for long. I do think, it's just reading chat here. The Rams are going to sell the future to win over the next 2 to 3 years. And they're going to try to win another 2 Super Bowls with Donald, Stafford, McVay, Ramsey. Miller might leave, and then Kupp also. But I don't know how much they're going to have leave, but yeah, they definitely don't have any draft capital.
Yeah, McVay would be interesting though, because I think he's only like 36. It's like damn, it's like guys, I'm done.
He wants to go. So I said retire. He wants to go do TV because they just had a kid. Him and his wife just had a kid, and he's like, he's basically saying like, I am not going to coach for forever. I'm going to do this for a little while I want to do it, but I'm going to move on to the broadcast booth because it's it's more money and it's better time with the family. Which right on. I think it's a great decision.
But see, what bothers me about this, Dakota, is that I'm not liking being in a world where there is a NFL head coach who would be retiring, who is between 2 to 3 years younger than I am. I'm like, how dare you, sir? How dare you, worthless son of a bitch? That's the reason I like Julio Franco. He's there holding it down forever.
Yeah.
You keep playing Julio Franco forever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's like I'm not letting a coach retire who's younger than I am. How dare you?
It's crazy, man.
I turn 40 next year, not this year.
Well,
Like, what are you doing?
McVay's a good-looking dude. He's well-spoken. He's going to do well on TV. I mean, McVay, when you listen to him talk, who do you hear? John Gruden. There's no question. He's going to do well on TV. He's going to be great. He's going to have a huge, successful career in the booth or as an analyst, whatever.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. But see, Dakota, that's the indicator when you get old, is when, the players that were around your age start retiring. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, Aaron Rodgers can keep playing forever. He's a couple of months younger than I am. You keep playing, Aaron Rodgers. Not for the Packers, but play for somebody else. All right, so JJ Bama, good evening. Yep, Beef Supreme says I'd sell the crap out of the Rams for next year. It'd be interesting. That's why I say, there's a lot of... It's hard. We have a lot of parity in the NFL. We really do. We talk about the AFC thing, but, yes, the NFC is weaker. However, still weird stuff happens, man. Weird stuff happens. Sometimes teams... Again, Cincinnati, as far as I'm concerned, got there ahead of schedule. It worked out. They did what they needed to do. But I don't think anybody... What are the odds that we could have gotten before the start of the playoffs for Cincinnati to get to be in the Super Bowl, be a participant in the Super Bowl? We could have probably gotten amazing odds, given
they got super lucky. This was way ahead of schedule, and it's not going to happen again for a little while, I don't think, but we'll see.
Yeah. Will's got a good point here as well. The 75K would also depend on where. Because in some places, 75K goes a lot further. For me, it still would be no. Only because, like I said, without saying too much, it's right around what I get paid today. And I know my job well. This is going into uncharted waters. Do I know about the hobby in general? Yes. Can some of my skill set carry over to certain types of roles that you could do in some of these things? Yeah, for sure. But if, let's say you're trying to build something from scratch, maybe, and you forget about 40 hours. Some of this stuff you might have to put 60, 70, 80 hours to make a go of it because you're trying to build something. Fanatics has a lot of money, but it doesn't mean they have infrastructure. They bought Tops, but Tops wasn't beautifully run. Otherwise, they would have been worth a lot more than they were at the tail end of their run there. They didn't operate perfectly. There were some things they could have done better. Kuala Lumpur, love it. See, Whitworth wins the Super Bowl Man of the Year. He's done, probably. Yep, I think he pretty much said it. He pretty much said it anyway. He's
going to be great on TV too. Whitworth, I've heard him talk a few times. That guy's phenomenal. He's going to be great.
Yeah. How many guys went to Tampa Bay cheap with Brady? I don't think everyone's going to go take a discount to go, hey, let me go play with Matthew Stafford.
McVay, though, and Aaron Donald. I don't know.
If he can talk him into it, fair enough. If he can talk him into it, fair enough. Better than me, the cost of living in Memphis can't be bad. All depends on your own financial picture. I think it also depends on what you're happy with. So I think that's a fair point.
I was pretty sure Memphis is kind of expensive because it's a big hub. It's a FedEx hub. Is FedEx? Yeah, it's FedEx hub.
I think that's right. Isn't it Nashville?
FedEx is in Nashville. But I'm pretty sure Memphis is the hub. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I the next time I get something shipped from because I order stuff, my cart stuff comes through FedEx. I'll double check what the hub is, but I know it'll be there. You hear Chucky? Yeah. Did the Rams, that's for McVay, did the Rams miss point in a weird way help them? That they had to go for the TD in fourth quarter? If not, they would have gone conservative and hit a field goal in fourth instead of going TD. I think that did work out well for them. I think it did force them to be more aggressive. So I think that's a fair point.
I also think it made the game a little more interesting to watch because you knew they have to go for it just made it more in stone. To me, because I thought about that as I was watching, I was like, it makes it more interesting because they have to go for it. There's no option now,
I wonder though. I was thinking about it when the Rams did score the touchdown to go ahead. I was wondering how funny it would have been if they had doinked the extra point.
Oh,
and then a field goal could have been for the win.
Yeah,
makes things very spicy. That would have been fun. Yeah. That would have been fun. Nothing to retiring as champ. Yep, did it as a member of 2007 B-Ball Ball Hockey League. Well done, Paul. Well done. Why did Bird transfer out of OSU? I thought it was an opportunity thing.
Yeah, Paul mentioned in a couple of comments below that Haskins got the starting job. He beat him out there.
Got it. Thank you. Yep. Let's see here. Nashville's much nicer than Memphis. Yeah. FedEx is Memphis. There you go. Knoxville or Nashville? So Knoxville. There you go. Nashville. Yeah.
Nashville's an awesome city. I've been to Nashville and Memphis. Nashville is freaking awesome. I love Nashville. It's very much a more Eastern Austin. It's a great city.
So how much money would it take for you to take a hobby job in Nashville? Does it change your number from before? Assuming it's an intellectually stimulating job, like it's a challenge, something where you're actually building something interesting.
It's
Let's
40
assume it's
plus
not a
hours
rank
a
job.
week. I have to move to Nashville, but I enjoy the work.
Yeah, let's say something stimulating, something like, hey, we want you to build up this division of fanatics, or maybe Collectors Universe wants you to do a thing and work on a project, but I need you to be here and do this.
250. My number's 250.
Look at this guy. Needs some decent money there. The Rock's stump speech opening. Yeah, they dragged that the kickoff way too long. It's basically, I kind of was hoping, because I remember this. I was hoping The Rock would redo his promo from the 2001 XFL. I was kind of hoping he would redo it almost verbatim, just like literally do it again, and nobody would get it but me.
That would have been hilarious. Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten it, but then you would have mentioned it. I would have watched it now. I mean, that would have been hilarious.
The best part about the original run of the XFL is that I am the only, I may be the only person on the planet who watched all the available games that I could watch on the original XFL, even on UPN and all that crap, just because
You
it made me laugh
probably
so hard.
are.
Yeah, I even have an XFL football. It's up in the top corner there. I have an original XFL football.
I was listening to somebody. It's kind of interesting. I was listening to somebody. They were talking about the new XFL and stuff like that, and they were talking about the old XFL. And I mean, obviously, you'll remember. They would go on the sidelines and stuff and talk to the players. And they were talking about how the NFL really, they learned from the XFL. They took what the XFL did well, and what the XFL did well was they knew it was a showcase, and they made it a showcase. They put cameras everywhere, and the NFL really, continued to adopt that, and use it. So
Yeah, there's a camera that's behind the quarterback, like the zip line camera.
yeah,
They actually they used it in the NFL later on, and it was a good idea. I thought some of the rules were dumb. They were stupid, and some of the stuff they were doing was really stupid. But some of the camera angles and things, because they were trying to be different, ended up being like, yeah. So Bob here says, yeah, they stole a bunch of stuff. I did actually read a biography from a guy named Bob Ackles. Bob Ackles was a longtime football guy. He worked in the XFL that first season, but he also did a lot of work for the BC Lions and the CFL. So he was like a lifelong football guy. He did a lot of stuff, had a ton of accolades. His opinion in his biography was he thinks the XFL could have worked the second season if they'd actually let him do it properly. Because he knew the first season they rushed everything. They're like, no, let us build a proper training camp. Let us do all the football will improve if you actually let us do it. And his opinion was it was a missed opportunity. They gave up too soon because it's like the second season, in his opinion, would have been 100 times better. That was the way he played it.
I mean, yeah, a lot of these things they die in the first season. I'm like, you need a second year, like. But
NFL overtime rules are unfair. XFL scramble. That's right.
I would love to see that. I mean, that would be teams would straight up just have 3 roster spots dedicated to scramble, positions, and it would be a shit ton of fun.
But you know what the best thing was? They originally didn't have a coin toss. They would have 2 guys run at the ball and try to get the ball. And in the very first game in XFL history, the guy who caught it, the guy who got the ball, injured himself immediately on that play and never played again. And I go, XFL 1.0 in a nutshell. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It was so dumb. The way you're trying to be the expert on football. Listen, defunct shitty football leagues. I'm your guy. XFL 1.0. I watched all that shit.
I know in the future, when we have these discussions,
the AAF, right here. I got you, bro. The Alliance, I got you, bro.
The AAA.
Yeah, it was the Alliance of American Football. It was the AAF.
That the last one?
So there were 2 that were recent. It was the AAF, the Alliance of American Football, and then that went away, and then the XFL 2.0 happened.
What about? Oh, was it AAF? I was thinking AFL, but it was the AAF.
AAF. Yeah.
I actually have some cards from them. I found some blasters. I actually enjoyed watching that stuff. We had.
I had the tops now. I had the tops now from their first season. By the way, the AAF was fun. I actually enjoyed it for what it was. Again, they needed an opportunity. The problem they had was they didn't secure the financing fully.
Yeah.
And they had really lame creditors. And then Tom Dundon, who owns the Carolina Hurricanes, bought it and then got impatient. And then because they didn't have a deal with the NFL, he pulled the plug on the thing before the season ended. And I was like, guys, this was actually good. Like, this has potential. Like,
well, they also started right with COVID, right? That was right in the line.
No, that was the XFL one. The AAF was before COVID. They pulled the plug because Tom Dundon didn't want to finance it for the rest of the season without the NFL agreeing to make it a developmental league. It was
What?
complete bullshit.
What league was Trent Richardson in?
That's the XFL 2.0.
Was that XFL? Man, I was thinking that was the AAF.
No,
Holy
XFL
smokes!
is the one who they use COVID as the excuse to pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the AAF should have been in the second season when the XFL came out, the second time. Rod Smart, yep, aka he hate me. I've actually got a Las Vegas Outlaws, jersey. I bought it on eBay for like $20.
Nice.
I also have a
nice.
mini helmet for the Outlaws. I love the Las Vegas again. Shitty defunct football leagues. I got this. Just trust me on this. I even watched the UFL, and that was on. It was on HDNet. You had the Las Vegas Locos. Hilarious. Moving on. AD not retiring. He has a $27 million cap hit next year. Note that they extend him or trade him. Yeah, could be. The Rock doesn't do steroids? Of course not. Hogan vitamins from the 80s.
Is there an issue with guys? This is a real question. Real question. This is something I've thought about, like, for myself. Is there an issue with guys doing steroids? You can pick the number. We'll say over 45. We'll say over 50. Not competing in sports, just living their life with, Joe Rogan, The Rock, whoever. Joe's Blow. Somebody in chat right now is 50 years old plus. They want to take, steroids or HGH or whatever. Is there an issue with that?
Mm-hmm. I don't really care. To me, if somebody wants to do. Now, don't forget, steroids were also illegal for a while. So from a legal standpoint, obviously there's an issue. But look, man, you want to do it, knock yourself out. Like, it's your life. You want to knock some years off, have fun.
But does it knock years off? I mean, we don't know that yet, right? We'll know in 40 years.
If you really abuse it, it messes up certain things in terms of your cardiovascular and things where you get shortened lifespans. Ken Caminiti didn't die young because he wasn't a perfect.
Yeah, no, yeah. So you're talking about like a huge abuse, but I mean, there are doctors that they help you with this stuff.
Low level can be fine. Like,
yeah.
Joe Rogan, I think, does human growth hormone, and
Yeah,
Stallone totally does human growth hormone.
HGH,
Yeah. So, like, look, with the doctor's supervision, you want to do that? Like, go ahead. That's your business. Like, I don't care. It's your life. So personally, I have no issue with it. As long as we all understand what it is.
Bob just said, is Vince known for making good decisions? I'm going to say yes. I mean, the WWE is hugely successful.
Everything that is not WWE, though, he literally fails at everything. It's hilarious. The XFL 1.0 didn't work. XFL 2.0 didn't work. The World Bodybuilding Federation didn't work.
Vince is good at one thing. He's good at making superstars, right? And then, broadcasting those superstars. He was
previously good at that.
Huh?
In his current run, he has not made many superstars. He hasn't.
That's true. It's been what? I mean, John Cena's the last big one, right?
He was the last guy. We could probably say that there are three or four guys that were associated with John Cena era. It was John Cena, Brock Lesnar, who would have been a superstar anyway because he was good. He's good at all kinds of stuff.
Brock is a superstar. I think Brock is a superstar
because he went to the UFC and he did all this other stuff. He even for fun went to tried out for the NFL and he was decent at it.
I have his rookie card. I have a Vikings 05 Leaf Rookies and Star card.
I think if he had legitimately tried and had done it a little bit earlier, I think he could have probably been in the NFL. He's that kind of an athlete. He's a freak.
Yeah.
Batista, who was in the same class as John Cena. He became a star for his period of time, and now he does movies and stuff, so he's doing his thing. And the other guy, I think, was Randy Orton. Randy Orton's the guy who stayed in wrestling the longest, but he was a second or third generation star. But
Orton was a monster.
Yeah, but all those guys were in the same rookie class. He hasn't produced a single star since, really, other than Roman Reigns, we kind of shoehorned in. But Roman Reigns is not the star that The Rock was. Roman Reigns is not the star that John Cena is. They treat him like he is, but he's not. John Cena is John Cena, and those other guys are in a little different level.
I mean, y'all can say Vince is a total moron, but he's a total moron with a lot of money who's made good business decisions in the past. So,
in that very specific, if we stick to wrestling, yes. Outside of wrestling, everything else he's done in his life, every other venture he's tried in business, all of them have failed.
I'm not going to knock a man for trying something new and then realizing it doesn't work and folding it up. It is what it is.
Yeah. Come on, man. IcoPro. Let's get some IcoPro going. New Arena Football League thing. I didn't hear about that one. There would always be like a bunch of Arena Football League. The Las Vegas Posse, Mike. That was a CFL team. Is that a defunct football league? Because I'll laugh if it is. I'm okay with it.
Are they playing? Does the CFL league still exist?
I argue it doesn't.
Okay.
Well, I was at the 100. I was at the 100th Grey Cup. It's like the halftime was Bieber. You think that was a bad halftime, y'all? I was there and it was Bieber.
God my goodness.
Good Lord. I saw Trent Richardson a couple of weeks ago in Birmingham. There you go. Nice. Under medical supervision, you can be fined for certain specific issues to the steroids thing. Steroids are illegal, but hormones are legal in the Olympics for transgender athletes. the end of the day, you live your life. I don't care. As a Lions fan, lose vicariously through Stafford's success and beyond happy for the guy. Well, good for you, Sean.
That's good.
Good for you. I'm like I said, I think this is the Super Bowl where like if you have no horse in the race, I'm good with either one of you. Go ahead. Great. I'm happy for both of you. WBF, yep. WCW, ECW angle, yeah, that was shitty too. Buying UFC didn't work out. Actually, Shane McMahon pitched Vince on buying UFC before Zuffa did, and Vince was like, "Nah."
Well, it probably would have failed if they didn't bring in Dana White anyway, right? So
Vince would have turned it Iker, bro.
UFC would have failed without Dana White. I mean, it needed Dana White.
Yeah, Dana White's a bastard, but he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not judging his moral character. I'm saying the reason the UFC is popular is because of Dana White.
But I will say this. Dana White gave me my favorite, like, personal inside joke with my buddies, because when they had COVID and they go and they built their own thing that they called Fight Island. That's literally what they called it. And I thought that was it was so wonderful.
Hilarious.
I loved it. But the thing is, Dakota, you can't say Fight Island. You can't just say the words. You got to be like, Fight Island! It's got to be like that. That's the only way you can refer to it. It's the right thing to do. It's what Dana White would want. It's what Dana White would want. So there you go. There's Sean with a Tool song recommendation. Rosetta Stoned. There you go. Vince had a lot of people around him making sure he doesn't do some stupid stuff. Yes. I know Vince McMahon's history very well. He is good at what he does, but I would never let Vince have all his ideas because he's not good at, he knows how to make certain decisions, and he's at his best when his back is against the wall and he's forced to listen to some other people and then filter decisions. He go, okay, fine, let's try it. When he's in the let's try it mode and he's willing to listen to other folks, he's good. But when he goes, I'm Vince McMahon, everything I do is gold. No, Vince, 3/4 of the stuff you come up with is shit. It's terrible. Please stop doing that. Yeah, he ain't even what Kenny Omega is. I guess that's referring to Roman Reigns. Do you know Nolan Nicotri? I don't know him personally. I have bought cards from him on eBay before. He'd be a good guy though. He is a very smart guy. I agree with that. And he's been in the game a long time. He knows his stuff. Team only, the Las Vegas Posse. I did enjoy that. Anyone old enough to remember the USFL? I remember it, but I didn't watch it. Absolutely, Shane. Good evening. The Blitz swap teams with the Arizona Wranglers. Again, another good defunct team. But you know, a little bit before my time. But I do know a little bit about the USFL. But mind you, they're bringing the USFL back. USFL 2.0. But why can't anybody just come up with another league name? Why do we keep having to rehash all the ones that already failed once?
Yeah, I don't know.
Can we not do that? Mary J. Blige pushing the age of a woman who should be wearing those short shorts. Let her live her life. Like, I really don't care. That's her business. Dakota drinking out of the Glencairn. Yes.
That is correct. Yes.
Vince doesn't know when too far is really too far. Yeah. When nobody tells him no and he won't listen to anybody, it's not good. Oh, that's true. That was the good one. Stone Cold Steve Austin was almost named Fang McFrost. That was one of Vince's ideas.
I didn't know that.
The genius Vince McMahon.
Hey.
He's a genius.
You got to be smart in your spots and stick to those spots.
McFrost.
You know?
Fang McFrost, Dakota.
Fang McFrost would have worked. It still would have been a sniper. A sniper. It still would have been a viper. You know, it would have been fine.
No. No.
That must be where the intro comes from, where all the glass breaks. You know, it's really just ice. That was the Fang McFrost intro. They just had to change it.
Yeah, almost all the longtime guys like Stone Cold and The Rock and even The Undertaker and everything. All of them try to give Vince a lot of credit. They try. They're trying really hard. They have to work real hard. But it's one of those things. They give him credit because he gave them opportunity. But then in the back of their mind, they'll do interviews and they'll be like, yeah, well, you know, when I had some ideas, I suggested it to Vince and then he said, yeah, go for it. But then later on, the folks that are doing it now are like, yeah, I suggested ideas. Vince told me to hit the bricks. It's like, well, if you're not going to listen to anybody and your ideas aren't always good, then don't complain when your product gets worse. When you're doing your best, you actually listen to other people. Isn't it weird how that works sometimes?
Yeah, you know.
McFrost available at McDonald's. I think you're thinking the Frosty or the McFlurry. I think you're thinking the McFlurry.
McFlurry, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Man, I haven't heard that in a minute.
Yeah, they were good. They were actually
McFlurry's a good, McFlurry's a good time.
Yeah, and there were a couple of different flavors, and I thought they were good. So we'll see. So now, as the football expert, I defer to you. What are you looking forward to then with the offseason? What are you thinking? Now we finished the Super Bowl. Now we're going to be like looking into seeing what's going on. You know, some quarterbacks could shuffle around. What are you feeling?
This is going to be a boring answer, but to me, it's a fun answer. I was just at the Houston show, and I'd walk up and they'd be, what are you interested in? I'm like, I'm just perusing. I'm not crazy about something. And I'm like, what are you interested in? I say football. And they'll be like, like what, like 2017 and newer. I don't have any Mahomes. I'm like, fuck you. I said 1894 and forward. Whatever's low right now, right? That's my answer.
All right.
And so for me, for football, I've basically pointed all my buying to football. Though I recently just bought $150, $160 worth of baseball. 5 of them were Topps Project 70. And then one, I bought an Aaron Judge 9 refractor for $64. I like Judge. It was just for me. It's just a card I wanted.
All right.
And then for football, I kind of keep just going through what's low right now. I feel like 90s and 2000 stuff is really low, so I've been buying that. I mean, we're talking dollars. I'm not talking it's low, it's $150. We're talking dollars. As far as modern players, I will keep an eye out for them, especially like, the rookies from this class. I would love to buy some Jamar Chase and some Trevor Lawrence, but I just don't think it's going to be possible. I think the prices are going to be sky high. This stuff is coming out so late. I've been looking at some Mosaic right now. I bought some Texans rookies. Nico Collins, wide receiver. No one cares. Shut up. All right, I keep going. If you can find Mosaic for cheap, I think it might be worth a buy. But it's just we're in such a weird place because all the stuff got pushed back so late. Other than that, I'm pretty much always buying Russell Wilson. I think his cards are too cheap. But that's, again, it's just me kind of looking at the football market and saying what's low. And I think Russell Wilson generally is low. So What about you, Carlos?
I'm still in the vein. I'm kind of taking advantage of the fact that baseball will probably get delayed, and if people get turned off from it, I'm like, cool, sounds like a buying to me. But I also look at it from the collector prism too, and I will buy. I don't turn anything down. Maybe this would be the way that I phrase it. I don't collect football predominantly. Does that mean I would never buy football? No. I bought some of those Favre inserts, and I've got some other ones that I've picked up here and there on ComC and all that, if the price is right. But it's for collection thing. I'm not spending a ton of money on it. That's the point. I don't want to. For the main collections, I collect the stuff that I want and the stuff that interested me. I mentioned to you that card that I picked up Super Bowl Sunday. Somebody put it up at a price that was lower than what it normally goes for.
Yeah.
I hit the buy it now without even hesitating. Done. But that's personal PC. I'm willing to do that. The ROI on personal PC is trash because I spend the money and nothing comes back.
Yeah, there's no return.
Yeah, so it's like it's negative ROI. But for stuff like ROI, like I said, I sold almost all my Burrows in the run up to the Super Bowl here the last little bit. But it worked out for me.
Yeah.
I did keep a couple. I kept the one that I showed earlier, and I'm going to hang on to that for a bit. We'll see what happens next year. But I also did keep a Fanatics exclusive that's sitting on ComC that was a color match kind of. It's their Fanatics exclusive color match deal. I offered it up until yesterday. I left it on there. As the prices went up, I adjusted accordingly, but I was the lowest price one.
Yeah.
No takers. Well, late in the last night, I pulled it. It's
not available.
Well, sorry, you had your chance.
Yep.
I gave you an opportunity to buy it.
Yeah, no, I feel you there 100%. And just kind of like what you just said, like right now, I think I'm just feeling baseball right now. Like I'm a football guy, and I just don't like. I bought so much 90s and 2000 stuff. There's nothing like I'm crazy about right now. I have some saved searches. If something pops up, I'll buy it. But like I've always enjoyed, and I think, I was just 2 years with the channel and 2 years of this happening. I think I will always enjoy just buying some baseball prospects, and like in the spring and before that in December. Usually when it's a little bit better, but I just like having a little bit of baseball on hand. I like having some baseball rookies. I don't know what it is. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I think there's room for both. I think you're allowed when it comes to PC. I don't care what anybody collects. I'm not going to judge it. Collect whatever the hell you want. It doesn't matter. You're not trying to satisfy me. I'm not the one who you need to impress.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes people tell me this, like, no, great, sounds good. It's like, but what do you think it'll be like? Look, man, are you worried about resale or are you worried about collecting it? If you're collecting it, then if you're happy, it's good. Doesn't matter what the resale is or what the ROI is. Who cares? If you are trying to get ROI, well, then my only advice is I don't care what you buy. Try to get it as cheap as you can. It makes your life easier. Like it's easy. That's not hard.
Yep. Buy low, sell high. It's too easy.
Yeah, I think they try to make it a little more complicated than it has to be. So yeah, Vince had one of OVW's better wrestlers portray a terrorist on TV. That's true. Muhammad Hassan. And the guy's Italian, by the way. Great idea for him. And then he fired him because it didn't work. Shockingly. None of their younger, smaller guys have requested release because they want him to portray a terrorist-type character. I've seen multiple reviews. That's the thing he'd never do. Yeah. What is old is new again. Vince is kind of senile, so it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. Basically, WWE will only improve when Vince dies.
Do you have a Pat McAfee rookie?
I do not.
I'm just curious because a decent amount about wrestling, so I was just kind of curious if there's.
I think he's an interesting play for. Like, I will never make a recommendation to anybody. I will not tell him to do anything and such. What is good for Pat McAfee is that he's done very well building a podcast network. And then obviously he is working with WWE. So he's out there. As a player, who cares about Pat McAfee? But as a player slash personality slash media guy slash his name still exists in the world, most kickers will never be heard from again. But he's got his podcast. People like it. He has Aaron Rodgers on. He's apparently the only one who's on good terms with Aaron Rodgers.
He's the only one because he's got AJ Hawk on there too. That's why.
So it's like, and Aaron Rodgers would go on there and he'll talk probably too much. Sometimes it's there like, Aaron, could you say less? Could you like speak less? Say less things. At the end of the day, I don't care. Do your thing, but like whatever. I'm like, throw some passes and make some passes. That's all I need you to do. The rest of it, I don't give a crap.
Yeah. I don't know. Pat Mac is a fun one. And like Rogan, I'm sitting on some money because I'm just not buying anything right now. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at buying a Rogan rookie because Joe Rogan. I would like one of those. I don't know what you would call a fan of Joe Rogan, but I've been listening to him for a minute. So I'm like, man, I need to pick one of those up. I just need to get one for the PC. I don't think they're going to get cheaper. And now might not be the right time though. He's under a lot of fire right now. So a lot of eyes on him right now.
I think Rogan's biggest problem is I listen to some of his stuff, but it's like he will literally he'll sit there and sometimes he doesn't actually care what's being said. He'll have somebody who comes on and just says something that objectively is not a terrible idea or like it doesn't make any sense, and he'll be like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Are you even listening to what they're saying?" You should probably respond to what you don't have to denounce them, but at least be like, just don't be like, "Oh, okay."
His episodes are only as good as his guest, which isn't a knock on him. I mean, Joe Rogan's going to sit there and be Joe Rogan, and I know what Joe Rogan thinks. Yep. I care what the guest thinks because what I like about his show is he brings in so many diverse guests from like different perspectives, but then also like just different fields. I listened to a guy for 3.5 hours about geology. I'm like, I mean, like who the hell listens to that? But that guy was smart. That guy knew what the hell he was talking about. I like listening to that, so.
Yep. Spirit Squad ruined 4 out of 5 careers, yeah.
What is Spirit Squad?
Spirit Squad was a male cheerleader faction that Vince came up with. It's exactly what it sounds like. The only guy that came out of it that had any success was Dolph Ziggler, who has been around off and on for years. He's good, but he had a moment. He had a brief shining moment where it looked like he was about to be a star. He won the whole Money in the Bank briefcase and everything, and he cashed it in and became the champion. Unfortunately, he got a concussion almost immediately after. Vince lost patience with him immediately and said, "All right, now you're losing the title, and then you will never be back in this position again." So as soon as you do like one thing that crosses him, you're like verboten. But he'll keep bringing him back. He pays him a ton of money to be like just a jobber guy. It's like you realize this guy when he won that title, and I remember when it happened. It was on a Monday Night Raw. His music played. The entire arena was freaking out. Like they reacted like he was the biggest star in the world in that moment. He won the championship. They cheered him. And I was like, okay, great. A star is born. Hey, Vince, by accident, you finally made one. Great.
Yeah, there you
go. And then immediately gave up on it. And like, well, this is why nobody ever gets any. Could you imagine if Stone Cold Steve Austin, if you had done this whole thing and then like, all right, we're ending his title reign. He won it last week. We got to let it breathe a little bit. Let's do something with it.
Yeah, I mean, I really watch wrestling. I mean, I watched every, SmackDown and Raw for probably like 3 to 4 years. And then during that time, like, Randy Orton had the title, and then I can't remember who else had the title then. It's like when Stone Cold was like the sheriff. Yeah. Kurt Angle was a manager too.
Yeah.
But people, I mean, John Cena, hell, he held both titles for like a year. I mean, like, it was like, holy shit.
Yeah. The problem that they ran into is that Vince would get impatient. Like, if I could make it a simple synopsis, he would get impatient with a lot of stuff. And I use the analogy with somebody who sometimes tries to argue with me, and I go, this is the simplest way I can put it. Triple H has done about as much as you can in that company. He became an executive. He married the boss's daughter and everything. His career has turned out great. He'll be in their little fake Hall of Fame thing at some point. When Triple H was with Shawn Michaels and they were doing their whole thing, Shawn Michaels got hurt. He went away to go basically retire for a couple of years before he eventually came back. Triple H got to deliver a promo, got to bring in some of his guys. They built a faction. He moved his way up the card, eventually became a multiple-time world champion, all that. In today's world, he could do that exact same speech. Vince would get bored of it in a week, and he would go to losing every match for the rest of the year. And he would never become anything, and we'd never hear of the guy again. He became one of his biggest stars. But because he had the time, he had more patience. He was willing to let things play out a little bit. Not anymore. Now he'll just give up on it and move on.
Vanderjack. So it's funny, just on Vanderjack real fast, like you're saying, kickers are bad and stuff like that. And like Vanderjack to me is interesting. Like he's an interesting footnote in football history. So I'm interested when I see his cards. I look at every single PMG that gets listed for football. That includes the 90s and the 2000s. And I saw Vanderjack 99. The 99 is the only number to 50. And I mean, basically all of those get listed for like $1,000. And the Vanderjack was listed for like $100. And I really thought about buying it. I don't know if it's been bought yet or not, but I'm still thinking about buying that card if it's still available. Because $100 for a real PMG, and I mean Vanderjack, I mean he's a nobody, but he's not a nobody, so I don't know. But
He was an interesting. It's like hashtag idiot kicker.
yeah, there you go, idiot kicker.
At least we remember him for something. Yeah, Rogan will entertain morons and crackpots on the show, and I can agree with him. My favorite. Now, not a moron or crackpot, but my favorite thing was this Patrick Bet David, the clip that they pulled with Patrick Bet David.
For the sports cards?
Yes, but it was so good. I loved it because he literally didn't give a shit. That's why I was like, I kind of, if I had been advising Patrick Bet David, tell him it's $250 million.
Yeah.
He won't know the difference. He doesn't care.
That was one of the single most, because I've watched that one a few times, because I actually really like PVD also.
Sure.
And I've watched that and I'm like, that's like the single like most, like he just didn't give a shit in the moment. Like Joe Rogan, like he just like completely like, I don't care what we're talking about. Can we move on to the next thing?
He couldn't even pretend. Like he couldn't even like, that's why I say like to Patrick Bet David, like you may as well have made it up. Tell him it's 100 million. Tell him it's 200 million. Like it doesn't make a difference. You could tell him it's $1 billion.
Yeah.
152 tops Madeline, you can buy his UFC in cash.
Yeah.
Just tell him that.
Cash money.
Whatever. Sounds good.
What did he bring him? He brought him and gave him a card, didn't he?
I don't remember that part. I do remember the clip with the 52 mana where he cited this number he made up in his head. Because the card is never sold for that price. It could theoretically, but it's never actually happened. It hasn't sold. So,
well, PVD is known for it because he had the 2 Gretzkys, right? And he sold both of those.
That's right. Yeah, but when it came to that one, he was kind of guessing because none of the PSA 10s have sold since the whole run-up thing started. So it's like, yep, sounds good. But it's like, nah, it can't work that way. I always enjoyed Dunkachino. I still can't believe the Seahawks didn't run the ball. This is facts. They should have tried running the ball. Then we would have had one less Brady Super Bowl. Who knows?
Can I ask you a question? This is way off. I mean, it's on topic with the Rogan stuff.
Knock yourself up.
But because you're in Canada, and you don't have to answer it.
I am allegedly in Canada. Go on.
But because you're in Canada, what do Canadians think about Jordan Peterson? Is there any thoughts? You know, is it? I have
been asked this question before. I can't speak for Canadians in general. I can tell you that I'm familiar with this stuff, but I think there's a lot of folks who, I think as soon as certain guys get a degree, a lot of people give them a lot of credibility if they like what they're saying. This would be the way that I would answer your question, and this is the most honest answer I can give you.
Yeah,
I think he's an idiot. I listen to him. It's like, nope, I don't care if you have a degree. You're a moron. He's a doctorate of psychology, and he's talking about stuff that goes outside of his. Yeah, it goes outside of it. You're talking outside of your lane, bro. You might as well be talking about astrophysics. It's not your lane. You don't have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Shut up. Please be quiet and sit back down.
I do enjoy. I mean, to go off of that, thank you for answering. I do enjoy some astrophysics, man. Neil deGrasse Tyson and what is the Japanese gentleman? I forget his name, but I really enjoy that stuff.
I know you're talking about. But here's the thing. I could have an interest in it. Neil deGrasse Tyson apparently wrote a book that was very nice about explaining a lot of what he does in a very digestible way. If I'm interested in a lot of stuff. I'm very well read in a lot of categories and areas. When I did my university, I graduated for my history degree. That's my main degree. But if I had done a couple of more credits, I could have minored in sociology and philosophy. I had almost all the credits that I needed for that. I took courses in 10 different disciplines. I'm interested in a lot of different stuff, but I'm not an expert in these things. But in history and the categories that I studied, I'm pretty well versed. I can speak to it pretty well because I studied it deeply. But if you want to ask me about astrophysics, I know a little bit, but I'm not going to pretend I actually know what I'm talking. I can't. No, but I
can have fun talking about it, though, right?
Sure.
I mean,
I get it. But he is trying to speak with an authority.
Oh yeah, that's different. The part. Well, you're talking about Jordan Peterson. Yeah.
I'm not cool with you talking with authority on an area you are not an authority on. If you don't know it that well, like, look, then it's just you casually talking. I could get a dude off the street then to give me his opinion on it, and it's just as valid as yours.
I guess I don't hate the idea of like logic, you know, if that makes sense. Like if you can walk through something, if you know how something was, and I'm not saying that Jordan Peterson knows that. Let me just say, great answer on Jordan Peterson. Move on. In general, when people are discussing things and both people are outside of their lanes, like I think it's fine to move into the realm of like I'm just following what works logically, and I'm doing my best here. And you can Google stuff and beef it up too. But like, yeah, at that point, it's all guess. I mean,
I think I'll put it to you this way, and maybe this will be a way to get us out of this one. You're allowed to have an opinion, but I can't give you credit for having a super educated opinion because you are versed in a different category.
but you can have fun in a conversation with
If you
it.
want to
though.
have a conversation,
That's
I'll have a conversation with anybody on almost anything you like. But I will always qualify what I know and what I don't know. Not everybody does that. Some people like pretend they're like, oh yeah, I'm well, like super well. No, you're not. As
Yeah.
soon as you start talking, I know you don't know what you're talking about. Please shut up. Go away. I don't have enough hours in my life to be able to entertain everybody who thinks they know something about something and keep talking. Please be quiet. I'll go to my grave saying that passing was the right play for the Black Seahawks. No, we already know it didn't work.
Yeah,
We definitively know it didn't work.
Yeah.
So it can't be the right play. We know definitively it was not the right play.
Well, I mean, we know. I mean, variance is a real thing. We can't say
But we
definitively.
would
right?
need an alternate universe to play this out.
Yeah.
We know that there is a alternate universe where it worked, but in this one it did not. So there you go. It looks like this is the answer to your question.
Yeah, Michio Kaku. I listened to him a lot. I was deployed in 2015. I listened to him a lot on The Big Think. That's a great YouTube channel, The Big Think. It's like they talk a lot of science and philosophy and things like that. If you're interested in anything, you see it in Big Think. It's a good channel, and he was on there a lot. I learned a lot about like wormholes and all this stuff, string theory, all through that. So
What I'll say is, and kind of playing off your question and also extending it out into other areas that are separate from it, I don't think there's anything wrong with using YouTube and using resources around you to learn things about things and if you're interested, get yourself educated on it. But I always say, know what your limits are, know what you actually know versus, oh yeah, I've heard this one person explain this one thing. But if I agree with them and I give them all the authority because I happen to agree with what they're saying, that doesn't mean they're right. And a lot of people stop there. They find the one that agrees with them, and it's like, yeah, this person agrees with me. It's like, yeah, but this person's an idiot.
yeah,
It's like, just because they agree with you, then maybe you're an idiot too, but good luck with that. You're welcome to listen to it and use it as a piece, but then listen to something else and let's see the balance between the two.
yeah. Figure
A
out
good
what you think
rebuttal.
works.
Listen to a good rebuttal and maybe figure out what you're trying to where you're at, where the reality actually is. It might be.
Let me
somewhere
ask you
else.
this, because we're way off of sports, y'all. I'm sorry, but you have caught my attention. So, like sometimes, like I have an opinion, right? And I find people who I think that are very smart and speak to that opinion very well, and I enjoy the way they break it down. I listen to it, and I'm good. And then I try to go find like the opposite stance, and sometimes I feel like I can't find a well-spoken opposite stance. I mean, do you have that issue? Is that just like a bias in me, do you think? Or do you think that like, I don't know, sometimes you can't find a well-spoken. I mean, I guess it's, YouTube's not infinite, right? It is finite. So
Yeah, I agree with that. The only thing I would say is this: sometimes you can. What I find is a good exercise. Maybe this is just the way that I do it. So I leave. Your mileage may vary. This is just what I say to you. If I can't find anything that satisfies me, I will then take it upon myself to build the opposition. I will go out of my way to be like, let me just break apart your entire argument. Let me take it and be like, okay, this is what you suggest. These are your points and everything. Let me figure out, like, if I was trying to counter you, how would I do it? What would I do? And I'll build it myself. If I absolutely cannot find it, I'll build it myself and completely argue the other side of the case and break it down and then see where I land on it after I've considered both sides. But I'll kind of step out of myself and be like, I'm not me right now. I'm going to build who this opposition is and try to figure out what points can be made against it. Because a lot of times, a lot of the same folks, if you can get away from the supposed authority of the individual, even if they're well spoken, some people can be extremely well spoken, and it's like you'll listen to them, or they're passionate. This is where sometimes people get stuck. They'll be extremely passionate about something that's wrong. And there are fun examples. Like my personal favorite was when I used to work in a call center. I had a lady that called in. This is my favorite story for this particular thing. She called in. She explained to me what her problem was. I told her. And then when she explained it, I go, okay, your receiver's unplugged. And then she went and checked in the back, and it was literally not plugged into the wall socket. And she goes, it was like that before. No, it doesn't work on batteries.
nope.
And she argued with me for 15 straight minutes, as passionately as it is as if it was her life depended on it. She swore up and down it had always worked without ever being plugged in. And I go, you do not have a magical receiver that operates without electricity. It doesn't matter how passionate you are. You're still wrong. You're 100% wrong. I can't present it to you in any other way than electricity is required for this to work.
I guess the biggest thing, like I hate I guess kind of to what you're saying, like I hate in today's society where people just they act as if they have their opinion and they have a couple people like you said like they like or they trust or whatever, and then they cite that and they just say it's complete fact. Where even even a lot of our science today is based on there's assumptions built in. Now there are assumptions that are generally agreed upon, across science and things like that, but there's still assumptions built in, and I don't know. I just feel like so much of what we say is like actually just kind of like that's the best to our knowledge, but it's not 100%. But people like to use it as if it's 100%. I don't know.
Yeah,
Something I struggle with now.
yeah. No, I get it. I think what I like to do is I like to pick in situations like this. I like to pick my battles because there's sometimes to be honest, my assessment is like, do I really care? You're arguing for this, but it's like, I don't want to waste my time on this. This is not actually a useful argument for me to enter into.
Yeah,
It was kind,
that's
it
a
was
good
kind of
point,
that
yeah.
joke about it was kind of that joke about the Google thing. I go, actually, I appreciate our Google overlords, and it's not just because they're hosting this. I go, sometimes I don't want to argue about something you can look up. If you can look it up, then I actually don't want to argue with it because it's a waste of my time, and I actually value my time.
Yeah.
So let's just get that one over with. You want to argue about something else where maybe it's subjective? Fine, that's different. Then we'll argue all day if you want. That's different. Yeah, the right play with the information available. Yeah, obviously wrong in hindsight. I get you. People watching Ancient Aliens, they think they're experts on who built ancient structure stuff.
Hey.
I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy.
That Greek dude knows aliens are real. Aliens.
Yeah.
Aliens. Yeah. Whatever the hell. I forget the hand gesture now. But
That's right. Yeah. I won't touch on this one tonight, but I'll just say this, JJ Bama. I find this to be one of the categories of it's not worth my brain spending time on this because I don't care nearly enough. I just don't. I don't think if you actually have a real leg to stand on, you can actually be canceled. The only thing you can do is lose a little bit of platform, but then you go find somebody else. Because by the way, even if you deplatform somebody, they go somewhere else. Doesn't really matter. Welcome to the internet.
I mean, we're seeing issues with mass deplatforming. I think that's an issue, but I don't know.
Well,
But I don't know how to address it, right? I mean, America, First Amendment, not rights, and then do these, companies like YouTube.
But here's
and
one
Twitter.
thing though. And like I said, there's a deeper conversation to be had, but I don't want to enter into tonight. Right now.
Sure.
But the short version, high level, First Amendment. A lot of people that cite First Amendment need to be aware that First Amendment is the government taking away your rights to very specific things. YouTube wants to delete your YouTube channel, they can't. That is not First Amendment.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Like YouTube can delete your channel because they hate your avatar. Like they have the right to do that. It's in what you agreed to when you created your channel. They said you can be deleted for this and this and this. They're allowed. 100%. Twitter can delete your handle because they again don't like your avatar. They think your name's stupid. They can delete it. That is not First Amendment. First Amendment is if you're like, hey, I don't agree with this tax. I'm at my state legislature and they're dragging me away in handcuffs because I'm saying I don't like it. That's your First Amendment.
No, yeah, and you and me are aligned on that. I just mean that, a lot of platforms will tell you they believe in First Amendment or that they have these bylaws and stuff like that, but then I don't know, they kind of stretch them. And then also on top of that, because of the way the world has changed, this is really the main argument. These have become the public forums, which obviously isn't fair to the platforms. It's not fair to the platform to say, oh, you have too much power. You have to abide by the First Amendment. That's not fair. But I think it's interesting, it's just a discussion, right? Just like, how does this play out? What is optimal? Things like that. I think that's kind of an interesting space moving forward.
Yeah, I get it. It falls into, and Paul touches on this. It's one of my favorite little quotes here. Never argue with idiots. They'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. It also plays into kind of my point I made earlier. By the way, Miguel here says that could call on holding Stafford rookie card. So there you go. Nice move. But the other piece that I touch on with this, and this is the way I just perceive it and go with it. All I'm going to, what it comes down to is that sometimes, and this goes back to the time thing, the one resource no amount of money will be able to buy you is time. And again, I preface everything. I love to argue. Love it. However, sometimes it's not worth an argument. Like sometimes there's certain things where it's like, somebody comes over and then they come over to your house and they say that your wallpaper, they don't like your wallpaper. And they say, well, your wallpaper's ugly, so you're an idiot. And they just stand there and waste an hour and a half of your time arguing why the wallpaper. Am I really need to engage in this? Or can I just throw them out of my house now?
Right.
Like this is not a good use of my time. This is not an argument. This is an argument, but it's not a useful argument. It's not a helpful argument. Like, what are we gaining here? And do I need to convince you that my wallpaper is good? When you came into my house, and decided to make fun of my wallpaper and then are yelling at me for the next hour and a half of my time. That's
But
an
if you
argument for
enjoyed
argument's
that
sake.
conversation, that would be the gain, right? The
Sure,
enjoyment.
sure. But imagine it's like they come in and this is the argument you're going to have. Why? Like, I'm sorry, I got better things to do with my time. Get out.
I think if I walked into your house and said your wallpaper's ugly as hell, you'd say, "I don't have wallpaper. Get out of my house."
I would. There is one room that has wallpaper and I didn't put it up. So it would still be get out of my house. It would be the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You would be Jazz. We see how you fly. Yeah, some people can craft an argument pretty well. At some point, logic and good presentation is give away with actual knowledge and subject matter. I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. Because this is the like button, would appreciate that. Thank you. That's how I feel most of the time. It's just a waste of my time to argue subjective topics since there are usually no clear right or wrong answers. It just depends on how much time you have. Like I said, I will entertain a fun there are, by the way, it is possible. I know this is controversial. So please, everyone, make sure you're sitting down. It is possible to have an argument on something where you don't really care about that much from the perspective of needing to win the argument. But it's just fun to have the back and forth, the little debate. That can be enjoyable for people who enjoy that kind of thing. But again, I'm back to there's useful arguments that maybe you can accomplish something by thinking through and talking through these pieces. And then there's ones that it's the wallpaper thing when you don't have wallpaper. Or, it's always unplugged. It was always unplugged and it was working before. It's like, no, it's not. This is a
I
waste of
think
my
you
time.
and me might agree on this. Like, conspiracy theories are given this like such a bad, like, oh my God, they're so bad now. But like to me, previously, conspiracy theories were just a fun conversation. Like Bigfoot. I love talking about Bigfoot. Why?
They can be if you take it if you take it as a lighthearted thing and you want to argue it back and forth, it can be a fun way to use time.
Yeah, it's just a fun couple beers and a conversation and you're just having a good time going back and forth. It's a mental, exercise.
Yeah. So real quick here. Appreciate that AP Sports Card. Thank you. No worries. Sounds good. Have a good night. I think there'll be a lot of people in the media who do not want to see cancel culture. Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of folks that are in glass houses that like to, curse out this person and that person and the other thing. And we've seen in Sports Card YouTube, we've got people who run out and like denounce everyone in this thing. And sometimes they'll sit there like, y'all got too much time on your hands.
Yeah.
I like to denounce shit, but there is a tongue-in-cheek element. Maybe just spoiler for some of you guys who are more familiar. Paul knows and a couple of my regulars know. Sometimes there's a tongue-in-cheek nature to some of the stuff I do. One of my buddies who comes on is a huge Brady fan. And he was talking about that. And I spent like a good 5 minutes just downgrading everything Brady ever done. And at the end of it, he goes, I don't agree with you, but that was really well done. It was fun. It's fun. At the end of the day, I don't care. Have fun. But it is meant in a tongue-in-cheek way. I don't care. If you enjoy it, it works. I'm not taking any offense to it because I'm also not worried about it. It's not that serious. It's jokes. Have fun. Still need the story of what you're pointing at in your avatar. I thought I already gave this one to you, Mike. Short version. It's from a picture that I took in Buffalo, New York. We were out to a baseball game. It's actually, if I pan back on the actual picture, the real photo, it's me pointing up at an abandoned pawn shop. And on top of the thing up there, they have like guns and something else. And it was actually really stupid. What was on the sign is really stupid. I'll pull up the picture at some point. I'll show it to you. But it's really dumb what I'm pointing at. But I've been able to repurpose that picture and have so much fun with it on the channel. That's all it is. I can tell Carlos likes to argue. It's true. I don't know how, but that statement does not surprise me. Shockingly, I know. My most enjoyable arguments are arguing about who are the true goats. Ziggy Palfy. End of conversation. Billy's the go to goats. There you go. Don Bradman. Oh, that's a callback there. Beef. Look at you. That's a callback. I have a guy who would come on from time to time. Don Bradman is a cricket player. And it would be Don Bradman Curator would be the name of the guy's name. And from time to time, he would randomly show up and talk about Don Bradman. And I'd be like, Don Bradman.
All right.
Fair enough. Look, I enjoy some of the randoms that come in sometimes. And it's fun. It's in good fun. No worries there. Yeah, nothing lighthearted about Bigfoot. Well played, Paul. Well played. I found the channel who speaks about and analyzes Latin. Okay, that's kind of interesting. That's cool. Are you guys going to the Atlanta show? Oh, I'm nowhere near, and I'm not crossing the border for that. So are you 100% out or 100% in? Where are you at?
I'm not going to go. I'm sober enough now to tell y'all no.
There you go. Look at you. No culture show for you?
No, I'm cultured enough. I don't need any more.
Look at you. Look at you. Sounds good. So anything else you guys want to touch on then? And we'll start winding her down. It's been a fun little impromptu live stream. Just a little fun post-Super Bowl thing. Again, I stand by what I said earlier. I appreciated the game was close. I appreciated the game was actually in doubt late. Thank you. That's a nice thing. That's a good thing. So I enjoyed that. And the fact of the matter is, I'm looking forward to next season. And again, as an NFL owner, it will be my pleasure to personally throw Aaron Rodgers out. Like, please leave and go do something else now. It's not going to work. That combination of like the window is shut. It is slammed shut. Let's try. By the way,
in Green Bay. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
In Green Bay,
I see
they're
what
done.
you're saying. Yeah,
Green Bay, they're
yeah,
done.
yeah,
That
yeah.
window is slammed shut.
Yeah.
I could totally see Aaron Rodgers having success somewhere else, and I think it would be better for both sides, for the Packers to move on and actually start planning for the future, and for Aaron Rodgers himself to go give it a try somewhere else. Let's have some fun.
No, I agree. I'm on the same board as you. I think they need to move off for Rodgers. It's time. So
Yeah, like again, even as a fan, even as a shareholder, like please, let's just move on. It's not going to work the way it is. By the way, they have a cap situation too, so paying him a lot of money to stick around is not going to fix what's wrong with them. Please move on.
Are y'all going to lose Devontae Adams? You think?
I think they're going to lose everybody. I think if they have a mascot, they'll lose them too. All cap casualties. We're gonna lose what they have, the excuse for cheerleaders. We're gonna lose Paul. We can't afford him. All right, so yeah, Dakota teased you the other night. I get it. I thought he might go to the show. No, totally understand. Well, I'm not going because it's in Atlanta, and I'm not flying down to Atlanta. And also cross border is a bit of a pain because I have to go test before, test after. It's like, oh my god, no, not right now. Remember the greatest WCW wrestler ever? Surprised Vince didn't bring him in. The Yeti. I like that reference.
Yeti.
I know, it's true. Have a good night, Mike. Yeah, Rogers out and Jordan Love is in. It's not going to be good. I have some Jordan Love rookies too. It's not going to work out. I got him cheap as hell, but I think they're going to be cheaper before it's all said and done.
They're going to be cheaper in the future.
I didn't pay a lot, but even then I overpaid. It'll be nice to see Rogers in Pittsburgh. I doubt it. I think Denver would be like a real. I think Denver would probably work out for him.
Yeah, Denver to me is the big one, and because Pittsburgh to me is more of a Jimmy G. Russell Wilson though is a wild card. He could just, you can just plug him in anywhere. But yeah, I like Rodgers at Denver personally.
I think right now for the novelty, I'd be cool with them trying some stuff. Like let's make this interesting again. Like I said, I don't think the Packers is currently constituted. Overpaying Rodgers, if they lose some wide receivers, like the situation is not going to get better. It's going to get ugly. And you're just dragging it out for another year for no reason. Get some compensation, figure out a deal, make something that works, rebuild, and let's figure it out in a couple of years. But I had no problem rooting for some of these guys. I can still be a Packers fan. When Favre left, Rodgers wasn't good right away. They had some issues early on. Like, they took a little while. But I was still able to enjoy the Packers, enjoy what they were. And I thought the Jets thing was going to be a disaster, but it was hilarious. And I was able to get a Jets Favre jersey on discount. I paid $19.99, and I wore it in one of my live streams. It's beautiful. It's my trolling jersey. It's like, guys, and I have, those McFarlane figures?
Yeah.
I have 3 of them. One is an Aaron Rodgers that's sitting a little bit above the shot. So there's an Aaron Rodgers in the middle, and there are 2 Brett Favre ones. One is a Jets Brett Favre, and one is a Vikings Brett Favre.
Oh,
because I'm a troll. Because I'm always a troll. It's
glorious. That year with the Vikings, man, that was so... When he didn't just run for the first down is like one of the worst things ever.
It was, but I do think Peterson fumbling a couple of those balls really messed that up, and it's become the running joke because my buddy Dustin is obviously a Saints fan, but my buddy's a Saints fan for random reasons. He's in Canada, I don't know why. The point is, I keep telling him it's like someday the Saints are going to win a Super Bowl. He goes, "They won a Super Bowl." I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't seem to recall that. It's like I have no recollection of the ending question. Lies.
I mean, they cheated. They did an onside kick out of halftime. That's against the rules. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's pure gimmick. I think the fix was in.
Yeah.
I think that. Yep. So if there was going to be a rigged, Katrina, New Orleans, you won a Super Bowl, really?
Yeah. Right. That's weird how that worked out, huh?
You know, Major League Baseball resisted the urge after 9/11. They didn't give the Yankees a World Series. They're like, no, you got to earn it, my friend. Earn it. Saints didn't have to. The fix was in.
Yeah, it was in.
It's like, what are you going to do? Oh, Favre's going to throw a pass. Really? I know how this works in the NFC Championship. I saw this in 2007, bros. Look away. Avert your eyes. All right. So, Brian, here's up, fellas. Absolutely. Oh, Hawaii. There you go. Well, at least you're in Hawaii, Brian. So there you go.
Yeah, what's up, Brian?
Provide some entertainment. Sounds good, Miguel. Appreciate that. All right, guys. Any last comments? Throw them in. If there's anything else you wanted in, I would appreciate a thumbs up. They are free. We are not charging for them. And thank you, Dakota, for hanging out. A little bit fun post Super Bowl. So nice.
Yeah,
fun chat.
Thanks for throwing it on. I appreciate it.
Sounds good. So you guys already, a lot of you already know Dakota's channel, but it's Sports Card Anonymous. It's right there in the title. And then, I'm here because I'm Carlos is the Instagram handle. It's also the name of the channel. Why? Because I'm an arrogant bastard. For God's sake, look at the logo. Look at it. Do I need to explain any further? I hope I don't. Like if I do, I don't know what to tell you at that point. Like I really don't know what to tell you at that point. Sounds good. All right, thank you, Loco. Appreciate that. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you hanging out and I appreciate you coming on. Have
Yeah,
yourselves,
man. Thanks for having
a good
me.
evening. Have yourself a good evening. Enjoy your week and good luck with the rest of the week here.
Cheers, everybody.